Okay. Hi, Pat, Ashley. I'm Jennifer, and welcome to our group and for the interview. And just tell me a little bit about yourself and for everybody in the group.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm very excited that you are interviewing me today. This is such a fun group. I am Pat Ashley Howard, and I have been a competitive gingerbread house builder for a number of years. And I have won the nationals 3 times, and I think I've competed 6 times, and I've won some other contests too. But the nationals, of course, is the most important one. But now I am primarily teaching gingerbread arts and judging competitions. I live in Florida with my little dog.
Nice. Well, welcome aboard.
Just got to, she'll be in and off my lap.
Okay, not a problem. Mine might be doing the same thing, so that's okay. Welcome to the group. Welcome for the interview. I'm happy to have you, and I would love to learn more. Tell me more about what you look for in with gingerbread competitions.
Oh, well, as a judge, there really is a specific criteria that we stick to, and try to keep our personal opinions out of it, but look for, well, the first thing I look for is attention to detail.
Mm,
You know, they really paid attention to every little thing on the piece that they are creating. And the overall appearance. Of course, first walking up to it, before well, 10 feet away from it, is there something that draws my eye to it that wants me to come up and make a closer inspection? And that's where I'm looking for the attention to detail.
oh, nice.
Um, there's actually about 5 or 6 things that are pretty much on our checklist when judging. Originality is very important. If somebody has, done a mermaid one year and it placed or won, you don't want to do that again the next year. You don't, you want to do something different from what the judges have seen. The
Hmm.
judges want to see something that's exciting and that is really appealing to the eye. So create originality is very important. Um, Also, creativity falls under the same thing. We want to see creative ideas, creative ways of making your entry.
Hmm.
um, there's been so many advances in what people do now. Everything from using drills, using power tools, using laser cutters.
Yes.
It used to be using a Dremel was a big thing. Oh yeah, we used a Dremel. But now people are using laser cutters and all
Yep.
kinds of power sanders and stuff. So that's part of the creativity. What did you do to be more creative than the next person? And
Mm,
so also precision and neatness. Again,
okay.
the detail. Recently, I judged a competition where this one piece from a distance was absolutely fantastic. It looked absolutely perfect, and it was absolutely perfect when I got up and looked at it close. However, and I'll go ahead and talk about this. One thing that is a little bit of a turnoff to a judge is the use of molds rather than
Oh,
handcrafting.
yeah.
So this piece, from 10 feet away, this piece was the winner. Up close, there was the precision, there was attention to detail, but it was all done with molds instead of being
Mm.
handcrafted. I hope she's not on here. Well, we've already talked about it, so she won't. But yeah, that's another thing is finding different ways to be creative with the different things that are out there. Like for instance, I don't know if you're familiar with ginger clay, but
Hmm.
that's something I developed back in 2007 for
Mm.
no 2008 for an entry that I was doing that I wanted to have impressions in my gingerbread walls, but I couldn't get it if I put the impression in first and then baked it. It would lose, some of the detail.
Hmm.
So I I did the impression in it and I didn't bake it. I left it raw. Well,
Oh,
that didn't work great. So what I did was I took the gingerbread, I ground it up into a fine flour. I put some vegetable gum in it. Actually, it was gum arabic and water and made a dough or a
oh,
clay.
wow.
I couldn't call it gingerbread dough. I had to call it gingerbread clay.
Yeah.
So I was able to model it and use the impression mat in it and let it dry. Just let it air dry. And you could actually put it in the oven a little bit too. Um, but you can't use it as weight-bearing wall. I
Mm-hmm.
had to build the wall and stick it to a wall so
Oh,
that it's
wow.
still on it. At some point, I'll probably share the photo on the
On the,
website,
it's
Facebook
kind
page.
of, it sounds like kind of like a stucco almost with the clay
Well, but it's a solid
before.
piece
Okay.
that dries, and it had the impression that I used was vines and leaves.
Oh, wow.
It was a Celtic gingerbread house.
Well,
So
neat.
I see it all over the internet. People post it all the time, especially on like Pinterest and stuff,
Yeah.
and sometimes take claim to it. But they call it an Asian house, but it's not. It's actually Celtic. It's got Celtic knots on it, but it's
Wow.
a little bit Asian. So um, let's see. Use of gingerbread is another thing that's very important. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to see a whole lot of sugar art. They want to see gingerbread. So that's kind of where this ginger clay comes in. You can model anything out of it, except for weight bearing walls, and it's still gingerbread. It just isn't baked.
Okay.
So, and there's nothing that says it has to be baked as long as it's gingerbread. Of course, some people are going to say if it isn't baked, it's not gingerbread. Say what
Right.
you want.
Right.
So, um, that's one of the things when it comes to creativity, and use of gingerbread. Um, and now a lot of the competitions, their rules are 75% gingerbread, and
Mm-hmm.
the judges want to be able to see it. Now, one thing we will do, if we see something that's covered in a whole lot of sugar,
Mm-hmm.
it's up or high. If you cover your gingerbread up with, royal icing, you can use some,
Yeah.
absolutely, but we want to see some of the gingerbread. But if we can't see it and a piece is really exceptional, we really want to know about the gingerbread, we'll take a drill and drill into it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We'll drill, see if there's gingerbread underneath that gum paste or royal icing. So
Yeah.
we try to do it without doing any damage, but it happens.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
that's and that makes sense, because it is a gingerbread competition that you want to see
yeah,
the gingerbread, and a lot of people are going away from that and using fondant. I see a lot of fondant and a lot of piping that's where they're coming into play. But it's the best use of gingerbread that
exactly.
is what you're being used, what you're seeing for judging, which makes a lot of sense. And sometimes it goes back to keep it simple, the kiss method. You want to go
Right.
back to the keep it simple and go back to the gingerbread. Use the best use of the gingerbread into creativity. That
Exactly.
makes a lot of sense because for us, we were talking about this with the judging. I've seen some great pieces, and we were talking about the wow factor, and that's what you were saying. From afar, oh wow, that the person is going to be the winner. I could totally, I, I've seen it. I love it. But then you start looking down into it, and now is it the best use of the gingerbread part of this competition?
And it's true now that a lot of the competitions, they may call it a gingerbread house competition,
Yeah.
but more often than, well, almost more often than not, it's not a house that wins. It's whoever has been creative, use of gingerbread, all those things, the degree of difficulty. Um, I know that coming up on the nationals, they've announced a few. They're doing it different this year because it's being done virtually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did not judge the nationals. I don't
Okay.
judge. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day.
Uh,
Um, they're announcing one, like the first. There's four groups. There's teen, um, child, youth, teen, and adult.
mhm.
So they're announcing the ones that have placed and the winners over a period of 12 days, and then it'll be on the 12th of December, which is National Gingerbread House Day, is when
Yes.
they'll the grand prize. So,
Nice.
but I already know that the third place winner in the adults was not a house at all.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't know what the other ones are yet because they haven't announced them yet. But
Right. But it
and
wasn't a house at all. So it's just you start thinking outside the box, thinking about using gingerbread. And actually, that's one of my favorite things on the group is the ones that are outside the box. That's a well factor, but are using the gingerbread part of it. And then you just think, oh, how did they do that? How did they come up with that idea? And it's amazing. It's amazing.
And speaking of ideas, people always ask me, where do you get your ideas from?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you the best source. Well, in the beginning, when the first year that I did it, I don't think Pinterest was around then, because
Mm-hmm.
that was 2006. Maybe it was, but I wasn't on it. I went through books. I looked at books, and I would Google things like whimsical houses, which is what I would do on Pinterest now, would be Google or search
Yeah.
um, whimsical houses, fairy houses. Don't Google tiny houses, because you're going to get those little houses that people live in.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
that, that's what you'll get. So, but whimsical houses, fairy houses, doll houses, that's a great source to find, different things that you can do.
Yeah. I love that idea. And also, I love, we were talking earlier about your Celtic house, and I would love to see more of people's culture in their houses. And I am surprised, especially with our group, we're all over the world, to see everybody's, culture and what they to incorporate that into their gingerbread. Is that something that, have you seen anything like that before?
Yes, actually, in the past couple of years at nationals, I have seen some more ethnic type
Mm-hmm.
uh, entries and stuff like that, and they're really fascinating, and the stories that go with them. So
Absolutely.
another thing
Absolutely.
that we look for in judging, which is one of the things, if I'm judging a competition, I pretty much require them to do, is to submit a description of what they did and how they did it and what inspired them,
Mm-hmm.
and photos of the process of how they did it.
That
If we can't see the gingerbread, if we can see what they did, on the inside, then we know how much gingerbread there is by seeing the photos. So there was one year that a girl entered the nationals, and she did a carousel horse that was just off the charts. It was absolutely flawless. You couldn't see any gingerbread. It was
oh,
it was all covered in sugar. She would have won had that been made out of gingerbread. It was on the inside, because
yes,
I saw process photos, but the
yes.
judges literally drilled a hole into it and pulled it out, and they couldn't see any gingerbread. But that was only because the sugar was so thick on it that when they pulled the drill out, the sugar pulled the gingerbread off. Because I saw photos later on, and that this horse was solid gingerbread. So
Wow.
that's another thing, that it's good to have the process photos that we can see. And there's so many things you can do, use instead of gingerbread, um, to build your structure, like Rice Krispie treats are the styrofoam of gingerbread building,
Mm-hmm.
because you can sculpt them, you can shape them, as long as you get enough gingerbread over them,
Yes,
it's
yes.
fine. And also rice cakes are another
Mm.
great one to use.
Nice. Very cool. That's very cool and so informative. And I'm sure everybody on this group is going to learn something from this conversation. And I
So
I love it, because I've been wondering that myself, just like, what is the best thing for doing a gingerbread, if entering into, for my personally wanting to enter into a gingerbread contest, what is it that they're looking for? And it's nice to know. It's nice to know the story. It's nice to know what it's made out of, but also to know that it is the gingerbread, that we can't go away from the gingerbread. The gingerbread is the main part of the competition and the main part of the piece. So I thank you for that. Thank you for the information on that. So we're coming to
I,
an end.
I love to share the. I did want to share with you
Yeah,
about a website that I have. I'm not going to tell the name of it yet, because I want anybody looking for it, because it's not up yet.
yeah.
But it should be up. It should have been up months ago. But COVID stepped in and took over lives, and my sister and I are doing this together. She does all the setting up the website and putting it together. I just do teaching. So I'm teaching there'll be about 75 different videos on the website, that everything from how to do a brick walkway, how to make a wrought iron fence, a gelatin window, a door hinge, a door handle, a chimney, you name it, a walkway, how to do grass, how to do hedges. Some of the videos are very short. They're up to sometimes maybe 4 minutes long. Some are as much as 40 minutes long. And there's some free videos on there. This is how I make my living now, except for, well, building houses. I also build real houses.
Yes.
Um, it will teach, you just pay a small fee. You can watch the video anytime you want. It's not downloadable. You don't download the video. You go to the site, you put in your password, and you can watch the video over and over again, as many as you want, for as long as you want. So if you're in a different time zone, it's not like a Zoom or a live thing. You can see it and you can play it, you can rewind it, you can just, use it as often as you want. So that'll be coming up. I'll announce it on the group on Facebook.
Well, I love that idea because when I ask questions about for people to join, I ask them why do they want to join, and the number one question answer is there's two: to get inspiration and to learn new skills. And so I love this idea because it's just giving the people in the group another another idea about giving them another option to use for gingerbread. Yeah. So and so
Oh, very good.
do you know when you're going to go live with this? Or
Um, yeah, it's
or
all up to my sister now
I got it.
to
So
finish the
because of COVID and everything else, but if this is on, I would you're going to post announcement when you go live though.
Yes, I will. And if anybody has any questions or something that they're stumped on and would like to know how to do, if they would just message me on, through the group, I will try to make a video of it, or I will try to help you at the time. Because I know a lot of people are probably, scrambling to make their family gingerbread houses now. So I'll help where I can. And if I can't help, I'll say so. I don't know everything, but
Well, thank you. I love the ideas that you have given us, and I love uh, that you're having you on here. And I'm sure everybody that is listening to this right now will learn something from this conversation. So I
well, thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I look
You're-
forward to seeing everybody else's ideas and interviews as well.
Yeah.